Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It's our weekend program. Well, welcome back. We have been off for at least a week or two, I think, due to travel and other logistical issues. But thank you once again for joining us. And can tell you, this weekend we're coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona, the desert, right? Yeah, Phoenix, Arizona. So we're in Phoenix, Arizona. There's also Toronto, Canada, and of course, we can't forget our mainland, St. George's, Grenada. Welcome once again. And on this week's program, weekend's program, as we indicated, we are joined once again by our coordinator of sports, who's always willing to give us updates at what's happening in terms of sports from the ministry's point of view. And no stranger to our program. He has been on our program for quite a while, and this time he will be giving us quite a bit because there's so many things going on. We have the readiness of the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. You know, there were some concerns in terms of whether or not they would be able to meet the timelines, whatever. Well, I am certain when you hear from Mr. Colin Peters, our coordinator of sports, and you see some of the optics, the visuals, and the photos, I'm certain you'll be happy because there was always a concern about the weather. But Colin is here to give us that. He will also speak about some of the ongoing programs by the Ministry of Sport because, a lot of things are happening and behind the scenes, the Ministry of Sport is basically involved in doing that. We have a number of, sporting teams participating, and some way or the other, they always go to the Ministry of Sports for some sort of assistance or whatever. So Colin will speak about that, as well as we'll hear what is the latest from the Ministry of Sports point of view regarding our national sports policy. There are some developments within and some movements behind the scenes, obviously. So Colin will deal with that. And of course, my co-host is in Toronto, Canada. That is Rudin Sylvan. And let's us also welcome Colin Peters in St. George's, Grenada. Good afternoon to you, gentlemen.
Hey, good evening to you, Michael. Colin, it's good to see you again.
Good.
Looking forward to talk to you and ask our questions.
Good evening to both of you, and Mr. Bascom, thank you for having me on the program. I always look forward to chat sports.
Right.
Sports is our life right now.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And if it's one thing I know about our sports people, we always have a lot to say. It may not be suitable to certain people, but we all have our own perspective on the way forward and the way what we should do and what we should not. But I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to say thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, and as we always say, give sports a chance, and probably that country will be in a better place. You know what I mean?
Yes,
give sports a chance.
Yes.
Certainly, Colin, and as we get ready to, we start off the bat because, the stadium has been that bit of concern for some. Since last year, we have been talking about it, but it seems as if behind the scenes, Colin probably was smiling because he knows what it takes, and, and we are seeing something that shows that we will be ready for the major events, particularly, Intercol as one, and then there's the CARIFTA Games. But obviously, between that, you will use it as some test events, more or less.
Yeah,
so, what's the latest, Colin?
Well, if you go straight to the track, we were contracted a company named Kerlon Sports from the USA. They both of doing track for world champs or Commonwealth Games. They have over 50 years of experience in resurfacing both indoor and outdoor track. The project manager Jeffrey Bailey was here for on the 2nd of January, almost 6 weeks, and he was here before to do the presentation for the building of the track to do the resurfacing, and then he was contracted, so he was here with his team of men. He had about 6 persons with him, and then he hired at least 4 local guys that work with him. We have done what he have done. Basically, we have done a resurfacing of the track at the Kirani James Stadium. He call it an embedded process, where he's apply sealant to the previous track. He didn't dig it up. It still was solid enough, and the foundation was good enough. So what he have done, he power wash it, clean it, smooth it out properly, and make sure do any structural adjustment that needed to be done. Then he put on a sealant to make sure that it was not nothing was going through, because I realized that the previous track didn't have that sealant, so it was a permanent track where the water was going through and even evaporating and causing the discoloration of the first track. So he had to make sure he apply a couple layer sealant. Then the rubber that was needed, he applied to the top to the surface of it. The process took about almost 6 weeks, as I mentioned. They worked extremely hard to make sure that the standard and quality that was recommended and that was needed to make the track what they wanted to be was done. I must say, today, last week, the international the subcontractor for the marking of the field were in the island with his team. And I'm happy and proud to say that today I basically just took the last the last marks that was needed to be put down, and I'm speaking about maybe some of the hurdles marking. So by tomorrow the track will be completely completed with the markings. Mr. Jeffrey is here to make sure that the overall work is done properly. He also will remain to see some of the shots. So you have seen some of that. Yeah, he also here to look and supervise some of the work on the warm-up track that will have a little more discussion a little later on. That will not be ready for the events or Intercol, but will certainly be ready by CARIFTA Games. We are preparing an activity next week where we'll do a blessing of the track. Basically, we'll invite some stakeholders and the ministry persons and the Olympic athletes that are here. And the first event are scheduled for the 2nd and 3rd at the Ariza National Championship to be held at the Kirani James Stadium on the 2nd and 3rd of March. So you're ready to go. So I'm very proud to say that the track is almost 99% completed. They are just and this is work from today. They are installing some of the others mark, and they should finish this afternoon. And any other marks that need, but any other things that need correction, they will be there tomorrow looking at it. So we are preparing to host all our primary school activities, the primary school games, the Horizon Championship on the 2nd and 3rd, the Intercol Games, and to prepare as we prepare and lead up to the CARIFTA Games come Easter weekend.
So as it is, Kerlon, it appears that folks who had concerns about the track itself, a lot of work has gone into it. There was concern even about the weather.
Yes.
Did that really play a factor, or you had any concerns at any point in time?
Well, we had some concerns because we definitely have to look at factors that could influence, and you mentioned the weather and other logistical problems that could have occurred. But the Lord worked in our favor, and I must say that the PS, Desiree Stevens, she had worked extremely hard in making sure the process was completed. She maybe put out a lot of more work than anybody else, because to make sure that it can look embarrassing for us if we weren't able to do what we have to do. So basically, we work really hard, and it's a time we was wondering if the weather will continue when the guys started, because none of that process cannot be done with when the rain is falling. Even the marking, they have to make sure that the weather is proper. They have to look at the following weather, so the couple of days to make sure that and they did, and we were able to accomplish it, which I'm very proud of. I wish I could have said the same thing for the warm-up track. But the warm-up track had some structural foundational issue without running around it, we could say, because of some of the usage poor practice that we had on it, basically, and it could also use other factors as the settling of the soil behind it. So instead of just doing the same process, which we know was a much deeper process, we had to dig it up completely and start doing the foundation. We were contracted the Grenada pavement, and they was working up to yesterday to complete the end on the side, because a 200 meters track, maybe about 20 meters more, they had us to do that. If you realize, they lift the whole area, the whole track, because of the water and the damage. So we're hoping by Monday, Tuesday, they should put the asphalt on it, so that, and we still have to give it a 10 days, 12 days to dry properly. So it will take us back to at least 2-3 weeks before we the team is back to complete that warm-up track.
Right, because I'm glad you mentioned that because Colin, and sometimes on social media, and I didn't want it to get into the conversation, but there are folks who believe that when you replacing a track, it's just a system where you could probably take this track from here and put it somewhere else, and they don't understand the process, So I wanted to explain to them, but then I said, let me leave it like that because as as you will see, for example, a warm-up track, something that is being built there, and it has to do with a lot of specification, and
Yeah.
and when you're replacing something, you have to grade out, right? And do all the coursework and all these sort of things. But you will know about that because you would have seen it from previous, And I told someone at the time, I say, if that was the case, many times I have seen a replacing track that I would have just say, hey guys, hold that track there for me. I have a badge coming. I'll take it to Grenada, But it's not that. And I'm glad you were able to explain that. It's a lot it takes. And you for example, you say, it will be even take about 6 weeks for our process to kill and everything like that. When you do all of that, Colin, there's still a process for certification, right?
For certification, yeah.
Right.
Well,
so explain.
Right. Okay. Well, the certification is done, I think, by the international committee. We have a form that they send. It take a lot more than just the track. It take testing methods and it take your other facilities, supporting facility that will require that. You look at the medical aspect of it, you look at, the location, you look at many other factors. But it all come down to, it's the track was just to clear that first to see what we are certified now, what we are getting right now. It's a level 2 certified track. We had a level 1 from the Mondo. One of the reasons, as I quote one of the Jeff, is that we haven't redone the track as the warm-up track. The warm-up track will be a new track from foundation. What we have doing in the Kirani James inside track, it's a resurfacing. So that alone does not allow us to gain a level 1 certification, if you understand what I mean. Because if they were digging it up completely and doing the track from start, you'd have get a certification. But that process would have been at least you have to add the next $2.5 million US within that budget to make sure that is done properly. So it's if we had the track before, well, the Chinese track was just to be honest up front, was a level 1 track.
Level 1, yeah.
Yeah, because you're done, yeah. And what would have happened because now the regulation is every 5 years. So every 5 years now they will be to assess our track. There are other technical things that have to go in there with the company you hire to come to assess it, and then the testing and verification and by international company of what you, because it's a pour on, of what you body track of what you are putting down. But I think one of the main reasons there is, as I mentioned, is a resurfacing. It wasn't a completely new track, and that's some of the reasons.
Yeah. Rudian?
Yes. So a few questions. As we see the Kirani James Stadium, it is an international track. And first and foremost, everything can be done on the inside with all the field events and everything. So that definitely make it into an international track.
Yes.
On the warm-up track, what is in the middle of the warm-up track?
A grass.
So you're not going to put the like they say, the fake grass down in there, most places do have it in the middle, where people could still warm up in the middle.
Well, in the middle, we don't need fake grass in Grenada. We have some of the loveliest grass, and in the middle, we have a matter of fact, they prefer the middle grass, which are planted grass. So we have to make sure that level is really nice as
also level out.
Inside of the football. Yeah. So it's the warm-up track is a 200-meter track, and in the level, as I mentioned, so it's 200 at least 4 to 6 lane. So we're working on it properly.
Okay. Now, do the outdoor track, is it open to the public?
It should be open to the public. There is discussion. I've been to a discussion yesterday where someone was saying, which the tracks cannot be like inside cannot be open to the whole public or to the general. There must be some regulation. if you want to maintain that level of track for, but it's also been designed for as and sell as a training competition track in this sense. So with the discussion almost, so we're still looking to invite international clubs and teams and individuals that usually candidate team usually.
Yeah.
We also want to sell that opportunity for them to be here to train on our track and get the opportunity. But
No, most definitely. Yeah, because when I recently spoke with the Team Canada, they had to change location, of course, because of that. And I did have a discussion to them last week. When I see one of the guys at the track, they had to change location. I think they went back to St. Kitts. I think that's where they ended up going back to St. Kitts. But they definitely love coming to Grenada. So that's something looking forward to, and keep up that standard that we have and that love and that, that we carry to host outside athletes. But definitely, like I said, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. It was nerve-wracking, thinking it's so close and what's going to happen, and and the weather. It was. I had a lot of discussion with people, and it was like,
someone called me to ask me if the Intercol will be at the stadium. I say, yeah, sure, because they heard it was in Progress Park or in Tantine, It's very happy to we are very proud to see that we accomplished that. As we prepare to host one of the biggest games in the Caribbean, as the Junior Games.
I noticed one more question. I noticed a lot of track now when they built it, the relay zone is a different color. Have we ever any chance in doing that?
Yeah,
for the relay zone?
I think the relay zone there are new specification for it, so we are ahead to that.
Okay, because there's a new specification. Yeah, we have the same here too. We have to adjust our track too for the exact same thing. So
because what we have done in addition, and here we are catered for the 150, the 80 meters. The Athletics Association make the recommendation 300 meters for these marks to be installed. Because every time we have the primary school, we have to pull a tip and mark the area and look here. So we cater for that aspect of it. Yeah, so it's basically we try to enhance some of the and make it as modernized as possible, but still fitting our demands at our local meet to be able to be self-efficient.
Right. Colin, so that's the track itself is there. Then you're working on the warm-up track as well. But then there's also the auxiliary, like for the jumps, for example, the throws. Those areas. Okay, tell me more about it.
Well, we have make sure that we prepare for Anderson Peters. Make sure that area is properly leveled because the damage from the consistent use of the javelin area. So some of the even bring back the steeplechase area. Well, with the steeplechase, all that specification must be made for we to gain that level. We also will prepare now to add a shot put area out in the warm up area. So that because how our track is designed. It's a track and field and football stadium basically, and you throw the shot put on the field, and because so we also will have a warm up area outside for in the warm up a shot put area outside in the warm up area. So we highlighted that aspect too as a nice piece.
Yeah, I think that is important because as you say,
and then the next one to what usually to make sure we are under the cover for the long jump pits. Because you realize if you look at the sand keep blowing on the field, it kind of affects somebody. You sit, So we also order to purchase some of the blowers that are needed because one of the things that usually cause the discoloration of the track, we could see the weather and the environment is a big one, but also we are location close to the sea. But when you cut the grass track, I see the grass fly on the artificial surface. And then you water the field, you water and the grass is started. So we're trying to see how we could, as one of so how we could correct that by making sure we blow it out after and have some of this specification to make sure that we maintain that beautiful color for as long as we could. As the Mr. Bailey said that it's he mentioned it as a service free, free, but in the sense we basically have to make sure we do what we have to do to make sure that we protect the track for as long as we could.
Colin, and the issue, now that you mentioned that, the issue of maintenance, very crucial, okay? And I know that over the years, there have been a lot of concerns in terms of the use of the stadium for other activities other than track and field and football. Though that may be so, what is the ministries or even the stadium authority which I think the ministry has oversight over the stadium authority, regarding the maintenance of the stadium to ensure that if the track has a life of at least 5 years, that we can maximize the use of that 5 years and not 2.5 years, where we'll have to start looking to do some repairs again.
Yeah, well, definitely with the contractor from Beyond Sports, we will sit and do a service, both a service manual or maybe a usage manual. We could only make the recommendation. As track and field people here, I would like to see they have no show on the stadium, in the track and field stadium at all. No matter if you cover it, but because we are track and field lovers, sports lovers, we would like to see it being used. And I think the example is what the extra work in the warm-up area right now is a perfect example of why we should not. People will say about precautionary, let's cover it. Let's get something so that you could drive. But I think we definitely know the usage of the track. We definitely know the investment you put in. And I think just use the warm-up track, why you should not. So, we'll sit and come up with usage, but still in the end of the day, it's we could make suggestions and we pray that, that is used for all the purposes that it needed to be used for.
Yeah, because God forbid we didn't get the CARIFTA Games. We're not sure if we'd have gotten the track repaired. So it's important, as you say, to ensure that we come up with some process in terms of the usage, as you say, a usage manual or something like that, and they have to basically adhere to it. I know in other jurisdictions, you cannot get the use of their facility if you are not in compliance.
Yeah,
I
think it's like you buy a new car. You put a lot into it. You wash it down every day. You make sure it's well polished. You bring it for its service routine. You do everything. We have to pay attention. So I think with the stadium we have to put, we have put more interest, especially there. We have to have one personnel there. I always say that. People, you always have security, but you should have personnel at the somebody responsible for the in particular and based there. To make sure that, I go to the stadium every day and just to see the process, I believe that if we protect it, then we'll be able to maybe look for a track in Grenville or Lassages, within the period, within the next 4 years.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was my next question. Why do not a policy maker? But have you been hearing any murmurs,
although
whether or not enhanced, let's say, enhanced facilities?
We've been working on a lot on enhancing some of the facilities. Well, as I told you that day, I was telling Mr. Billy, I say, let me take you to Progress Park, man. Give me a costing. I'm not a politician, but I say, if we have to talk future track, we have to at least have an idea if it costs us how much, So this week I'll try to maybe take him Grenville.
I think
what is there, there are other companies that do thing, but still at least you have an idea. Because we usually talk because before, I think one of the problems was that they overestimate the I'm not saying that expensive, but when I thought about doing the track, I think about $4 million.
Right.
Because I've heard they could that. So that was just in my head. And then I was walking through with through the Grenada invitation last year with one of the guys, come from Jamaica. And I said, but how much to do the track? And he said that sometimes it costs $1 million to do something.
In terms of what you have to do.
In case of what you have to do. So sometimes we just have to we think about it and we say, oh, serious? I say, well, serious? I say, but $4 million I was quoted before in the US, So sometimes we could, some of it, but facilities, I know is something that we have to pay a lot of attention to. And if you look at some of the lightings of some of the facility, that will help a lot. I'm proud to say that most of our team, then the next thing we are putting structure in place now, policy for the usage and the management of the facilities. I know the sports policy have been working and the government been working very hard at that. Getting facility management, and that was some of the plans for this year and which we are working at to make sure that all our facility is up to date. And it's a big task, to be honest with you, and it's a large budget to do everything one time, but we have put something in the budget for that, and which we are working on making sure that we get. If you look at it, you see the limes lighting is on, and we have done some more work to make sure that we have Vendom working on now and making sure that the field is proper. Vendom was a lovely field in the bottom of the rainforest there, and we'll get it back up. And if you look at so work is happening. It's just some people think that's fast enough, but you have to look at other, So then when we do all that, now we have to look at the structure of our sports, the structure of development and our federation, and how we can support them. I know the minister have an appointment to meet with the federation next week Friday at 9 a.m. He sent a letter, so, and we see how we could work together. There are some federations that are association that are working extremely good. I went to and they will have to support some of the ministry program. Because if you look at the structure of the ministry now, before when we used to have about 50, 60 coaches in the ministry, we have about 12 now. Most of the senior coaches and a couple of junior coaches. So for we to do that outreach and developmental program, all the programs, we definitely have to go out and reach out to the associations or the federation for their support, where we collaborate with them to be successful. Even we have other limitation with some of the schools, we stick to within the school time, and I know they don't want to compete on a Saturday, on a Sunday, but when you're with this federation, you will see them with the competition on Saturday. I've been to the Sanders on the 15 tournament, and which I was so impressed. And every Saturday that was my route to the parish, and I see, the same boys, if you could get it out in all this, all this association could have some developmental program and some of the grassroots program. I think that is what we are looking at. And then to clear it out now with the last thing, we have to look at our elite program. I can remember before when we have, in javelin and shot put, we have done well at CARIFTA for events. And we had, I'm not saying the club structure is great, but as a ministry person, I will say that the club structure helped reduce some of our medals. Because I know when I was coaching, basically, I look for the best, we get the best athlete from all over the island on Saturdays. No, everybody's sticking a club. So then some, you may see and if your club do not have that efficiency, maybe in the throws or the jumps, but you have the potential, so we are working on maybe trying to identify talent in a sense and see how, but we must work with the associations to get that done properly.
Yeah, and then they incorporate in the clubs and things. Now, going back to that issue there, Colin, that you raised regarding the cost there, and I was thinking about it because I think most times the cost in mind of these facilities are bearing, the track itself and the structure, like the buildings and all these sort of things. Yeah. Colin, Rudy, and as well, that there are a lot of stadium, as they call it, in North America that is just a track.
Yeah,
and
just
they
a
have
track.
what you have those
bleachers.
Yeah, those mounted bleachers and portable toilets and all these other things, right?
Yeah.
And they have been, college meets and all these other things, right? The important thing for them is having that track, the facility there. And I think that is where the cost of $2, $3, $4 million may be involved, because they're thinking about, a big building, 2-story, 3-story building, and this and that, all these other things. But when you look at it, a track in probably, Seamoon or wherever, or even in Caracou, Hillsborough, and things like that. So it might be probably, as you say, $1 million, less than $1 million US. And then in most cases, you already have a structure, you have lights, you have all, all these. You may have to enhance some of these things, but I think you're correct in terms of that. It's just the mindset of those things.
Hey, Kerlon, quick question before you go, and I know you're not policy maker. Have there ever been a talk about leaving the track to be the track and have a national soccer stadium built separate?
I know that from
Rudy and in Grenada we say football.
Football.
I know GFA had plans to do that. And that's some of the discussion was around GFA and the plan of acquiring land or purchasing of land and to build the center of excellence for football. But I haven't heard that discussion in a short while, but I knew GFA before, that discussion was there to do that. I think so. Okay. But that's the way, when you had a federation and then they should go, because I always tell the president that for football should definitely have a field maybe in each parish, because if you look at it, football want to play right around the year, and then we need we are all sports, we need to cater for the cricket, the football, cricket, track and field, but football is, they need to have some level of ownership of some fields, if it's two main ones or something, but they should work on that, and they are funding for that. Them to want to put it as a priority.
The technical funding. And talking about fields availability, there's a question comment here from Michael St. John. I'm quite concerned that no mention of the Roy St. John recreational ground that's in Tantine when the Kirani James Athletic Stadium is not available. All schools in St. George have to use this facility. And while we're on that, Kerlon, I noticed that the light poles are up. Any plans when the lights will actually be turned on at the RSJ?
Yeah, I spoke to the Mr. Francis, which is the contractor, yesterday, and he's waiting on the final panel or something to install, and he told me by at least 3 weeks, that will be done. But all of our field, I think Monuge was light up yesterday, just to do some adjustment with the lights, and all the other fields that he have been working on, I think they're ready to go.
All right, and referring to the availability of that facility itself,
It was a tough season, basically, because we get a lot of lash for that. I get a lot of lash for that because we try to make sure we get the light in there. We try to do the repairs the same time with the lighting, and we knew of the repairs that needed to be done, but we didn't want to do it and then the truck passed all over it to put up the lights, and them two didn't work properly at all. But in the end, the schools were able to have the sports there. I've been to the St. George, the primary school sports there, and it was a success. So I'm happy to say that we definitely work hard. We have assistant coordinator, Mr. Damon Castle. If you remember him from Boca and from Wester Hall, that worked very hard on the field with the assignment with some of the fields, and I've been working very hard with the groundsmen and the fields and some of the works that needed to be done to make sure that we're ready for the sports. And just watching the primary school golf, I feel a little ease because we tried to do some work on the field, which we have done, to kind of lift the bottom area by the finish line. We do a French during setting. And we put some topsoil. We changed the fencing and the light went up. We just the final installation. We didn't get done. But I know once the rain start falling, you will see Tantine field as a lovely field again with some of the infrastructure that we have done to make sure that it's good.
But are you concerned that it's really overused facility?
It's really an overused facility.
I mean, apart from all that you mentioned there,
yes.
The community also use it. The guys on a Sunday, you talk about track and field, but then it's cricket, football. So what are the plans?
Well, we're hoping with the Monuge light, the Monuge field light lit up. You look at the lime lit up. Do some working on Woban, so some of this stuff. So it's definitely springs. We're coming up just now. Springs are there is also lit up. So we're hoping that what we're planning basically give the community some more support so they can actually stay in some of the communities, and Monjelo is contracted and properly thing. So there are other fields, but Tantine, and if you look at Queen's Park and them other fields, but you look at Boucherville, that's sometimes underutilized. Maybe when the road finish, people will more, but if you go to Grenville, Progress Park may be the same problem. With the football, with the Paradise Club right there, as you sit as a home, and then you have the track and field team is there together with all the school at track and field training, and then Victoria Park is there that sometimes underused, and so it's give and take, and sometimes we can't get it all together, but we are working on. And look at now the facility in Victoria Park is the pavilion is redone, is rebuilt in the sense that enhance, paint, do the adjustment. So it's a lovely setting now to have activity. We had the drainage problem for a decade and more than that, maybe our lifetime. So we definitely working to make sure that the facility is done. And I know with the coming on of the sports policy, and some of the venues may use as the center for the counseling area, and more attention will be given not only to the fields and the improvement of the fields, but also the personnel that the volunteer and the grounds and other facilities that make our sports properly. One of the things that I think we really have to pay attention to, and we have to develop very quickly, some elite programs. Because I mentioned in a program this day, for you to throw over 18 meters and try to win a CARIFTA medal is not easy. And the commitment has to be there of the coach, and maybe 7 days a week you have to train very hard. I've been doing it before. So we definitely get some individuals, maybe find some way of getting back in the system and having them committed, and giving support to the talent identification or the persons with the that shows that potential to go on. I know that GFA had a scout here from Jamaica 2 days ago, and 3 or 4 under 13, under 14 footballers were selected to go in a private school in Jamaica. So you could see, we wonder when we look at it, taking them now from under 15 in the sense, talk to the parents, play football. From the so it's an opportunity, but if you want to start doing our own homegrown program like Jamaica and them to get potential, we have to start developing some elite program, and we have to start developing some academy. We have to say, if we say to MCC or we develop a school and we send all of our sports persons there when we have, we know it for years because we travel to Cuba and we've been saying it's not a new discussion. But sometimes you find it difficult when you speak speak sports now and you tell them you want to play on Saturdays and you hear the discussion, you see. But if you want to be able to have us all the competition successful, we have to start. So some of the mindset, it has
to be changed.
You have to be changed. Even some of the support system. So it just be kind of heartbroken sometimes in this time when you speak. But we want to win medals, but making the discussion and having the discussion. And one of the key things too, that will prevent that is that, which I must say that, we don't attract and we don't welcome in new persons to associations and federations easily. Even if you volunteer, if you just think, because once you have a mouth and you talk, you have problems. So we have to change that mindset. That you have to change. You have to change your mindset if you want to change the sports. Because if you look at persons in associations and things, the same persons that were there since I was going to CARIFTA and 14 years old. And if you look at inviting and getting new persons involved, persons should, you should attract persons who want to be as you want to be as the association. But once but you don't want future thinking people, and you want people that honest and upfront.
Well,
so we're supposed to remain for the next 20, 30 years.
Rudy and Colin, when I spoke to Colin this morning, he was in the gym. His back is broad.
I get it. The back broad now. But no, but you are surely right about that. But they have to have some sort of interest. Going back to talk about academy could be not necessarily a challenge, but I think what I would like to see first is maybe every parish have programs happening. Every parish have a track club. Every parish, they have so many soccer fields, but every parish should have an under 17 team, or under 13 team, or under 10 team, or under 20 team, even for boys and girls. If every parish can do that, yes, we're going to need the academy in their future, but there means there's something happening. And those kids, they're rising up for different age group and they're going up. And I think that's really, I would like to see happen in Grenada, that every parish should be locked down, that we could have parish and sports can constantly be going all year around.
Well, that's why I'm thinking about the involvement too of the association there.
Yeah.
Because with that, and it should not be just track and field or football.
No.
That should be all
netball, tennis, volleyball, everything across the board.
Yeah, but if you look at this is what the sports policy is designed to do, to change the structure, to give a better structure and efficiency of the parish, of the sports to the parish. So that is what we're hoping that when you accomplish that, which so we working on that to take out some of the deficiency that is happening and put more power within the sports policy and within the parish council. So then some of the support that we may give to just give you to travel, we may have that support may go to the sports councils in different parishes to help develop a structure for all the competitions within the different sports. And just to continue that, right now we are preparing for a pre-election discussion on this constitution and the process for election. So we are preparing to go to the parishes to have discussion for pre-election and the constitution for the process of election. So we're starting on March 5th, we'll be in St. John's. March 7th, we'll be in St. Mark. March 9th, we'll be in St. Patrick. March 16th, we'll be in St. Andrew. March 19th, we'll be in St. David's. March 21st, we'll be in St. George. April 4th, we'll be in Pitimatnik and Carriacou. All the sessions will be held at 6 p.m., except in Petit Martinique, will be in the morning and Carriacou at 4 p.m. So let me just go it over, just repeat it, so that persons could start, preparing for and presenting themselves for election to represent the parish as sports or the sports council. So March 5th, 2024 will be in St. John. March 7th will be in St. Mark. March 9th will be in St. Patrick. March 16th will be in St. Andrew. March 19th will be in St. David. March 21st will be in St. George. April 4th will be in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I must say that the secretariat at the sports policy and the Mr. Cloden have been working very hard, doing all from all the reconsultation we have, all the recommendation, putting it together with Mr. Patrick, that is leading to get, and the secretary they are working with hard. I know we are very happy to see that we will be out on the given dates to have pre-election discussion on the constitution and some of the adjustments that are made from the pre-consultation that we had last year. Okay. So we are up and going. So this is good news.
Yeah, it is, and I'm glad to know. And for the folks who have been, quick to criticize, and to give it an opportunity for you to make yourself available and be on those committees and things.
And it was more than we thought to. I guess as much, it was more than we thought to with some of the recommendation.
And that's what
because
I'm saying.
As time change, there are other concerns, safety in sports, there are other mental history in sports. So there are a lot of stuff besides what was on the document. For 2020, 2011 that needed to be adjusted.
And in addition to that, Kerlon, is that here is an opportunity for folks who are in the communities to make to make a decision, to be part of the decision making when it comes to sport, right? Yeah. So make yourself available. Be quick to criticize, and things like that. So, but here is an opportunity where you can be part of the process. You can be part of the process of even changing certain things. Yeah. But let's get some comments that came in earlier. Your good friend Shenny was saying to you, Kerlon, KP, there is enough justification for another track facility to be considered in St. Andrew. And then there was one that's a concern here. I know the Principal Association is responsible for the Intercol meets. However, something must be done concerning overcrowding. This must be looked at, particularly the main stand. I think it's the main stand. Yeah, they come back to say the main stand. There must be a cutoff period for that section. And Kerlon, it is a concern when it comes to that.
I know that has been done before. I think maybe that have been done before, where they had a cutoff period, the amount of persons that allow for this.
And also calling for people to sit, right?
Yes, also calling for
because folks tend to want to stand even where there's you pay for a seat, but you're standing,
You're standing here, It's a habit that we have to change.
It becomes a habit now, and in some facilities they don't allow standing because of in case of emergencies and things like that. So
and I hope my friend Chenny, at least I know his company that brought in all the containers for the resurfacing track. So maybe you partner in Grenada and maybe too as a stakeholder so that we could put a track in Grenville.
No wonder he said that there is enough justification. But he said maybe a trade-off with the GFA for its property in for track and field to allow a dedicated ground for track and field. And we know that I think the GFA has the back of Simone area.
Yeah, the Simone area.
For the technical center, which would have been the technical center, but it has been in some legal. Yeah. I don't know if Sherry might be able to clear it up,
No, I don't think Sherry can clear that. Listen, Bascom, that's it. I want to say if Sherry and the company, at least with the amount of money, may give us be part of a stakeholder so that we can, when the man give us the cost for the Grenville, we could look at shipping and
We can cut that deal. We can get that deal.
Any set up an appointment and see how we can make that work. Make some proposals. Certainly, in the long run, it will be for the development of sports, And I think if we can at least have, as they say, another facility, in probably whether it's St. Andrew in particular, because obviously if you have it in St. Andrew, you can get the folks in St. David and St. Patrick in particular that can gravitate towards that in terms of having their meets and doing for training and things, and even putting some less pressure onto the KJS, and things like that. So, but I think in terms of the development of sport, because I always wonder, Kerlon, and you will be able to talk about that, that most of our outstanding track and field athletes, and I'm not saying just field, track and field athletes came from the outer parishes, and they were developed, and they came at a time when we didn't have the
nothing.
I mean, yourself, Kerlon, you probably is a product of such, right?
Yeah.
Some people say it was mere talent and dedication and things like that. So
I also believe. Imagine if they bring that swimming pool in golf, or they bring a swimming pool in Grenville.
Oh, something like that. I always have the belief that when it comes to sports, the folks in the outer parishes are more dedicated towards it. So if, for example, swimming was something that they can get into, and by the way, we've seen it even in tennis. Even without a facility, Richie Hughes can tell you that some of the best tennis players now are coming from the outer parishes, St. John, St. Andrew, and even Carriacou, and they don't have the facility, right? We are seeing swimmers now coming from the outer parishes, making their way onto the teams, right? So it has to do a lot with the discipline and their dedication towards excelling, Those who have the readily access to it, probably not making use of it, and just feel that, hey, we can become a bit complacent, and things like that. So, but moving on, Kerlon, as should I say a current coach? Because I'm
not coaching. I'm not coaching. Well, as a matter of fact, this year I'll go to Intercol for the first time without.
So you mean you're going as a spectator?
As a spectator, and I believe. This is the first year I've not been into even giving support. I've been with behind GBSS for the last maybe 10 years, and this is the first time I haven't been out there to even give motivational speech or watch them in training.
But you have been part of the technical team for Intercol over the years too.
I've been part up until last year. This year I'm not part of this anymore.
Oh, you're not part of. Oh, okay.
No,
but something that we can talk about that another time. Your concern and your assistance over the years, Kerlon, and that's why I asked about the coaching aspect, has to do a lot with the field events, right? We have seen for a period of time how Grenada basically dominated the field events, the throws in particular, at the CARIFTA Games, right? Are you concerned that we sort of losing, or some of the countries are catching up on us? I mean, we are seeing even Jamaica and the French Doms and like Guadeloupe and Martinique are now chipping into the medals in the throwing events where Grenada once dominated.
Yeah, I think because I've been maybe part of the Barbados CARIFTA a couple of years ago, more than 10 years ago, when we won most of the field events. I was part of that and have athletes I've been working with right through that won medals. Definitely take a lot more to win. You take a bigger system to put a lot more system in place to win a CARIFTA medal, and it take a lot more with the coach motivation, which I always mention, and coaching support. Over the years, I guess we take for granted with the persons that are making a contribution towards the medals. And then so they lost interest. They basically lost interest. So just a few persons there that are coaching in not, we had competition. We had competitions among the coaches together. But we have to build a system, as I mentioned, where we coach motivation, the coaching education system have to be there. The support maybe from both the ministry and the association to get the coaches to come out. Because it take more than 2 years to win a CARIFTA medal, to coach an athlete to win a CARIFTA medal these days in the shoes. Because you have to have a solid gym program, you have to have a solid nutrition program, your coaching structure should be good. There should be identified talent, and not because you're maybe in a track blazers or a ace club. You cannot cross train. We have tried that before to get it work, but I don't believe that ever worked successfully. We must have a complete, program where we go wrong, like how we had and see the talent in the community. Like how we had the grassroots program, and we look at chewers and we bring them together, no matter the club and your person assigned to them. This is the level we have to work at if we have to win medals, So because you could just push all your interest in one coach, and you brought him as the best coach, and then the other coaches don't get the support, and then in the end of the day, when he goes somewhere else or she goes somewhere else, you realize that your system now, we might have to go back to them local coaches, or you have to develop new coaches. But we have to do a lot more developing persons and getting the interest to the sport.
Yeah, and I like that last point there in particular in terms of working with the coaches and not just one coach in particular, because as you say, if a coach for some reason, God forbid, he's no longer available, he or she no longer available, then what about the other coaches? In addition to that, Kerlon, you know that probably 5-10 years ago, you probably will win a medal with throwing in the throw. Well, let's look at the javelin, for example, 50, 60 meters. Now, if you cannot throw over 70 meters, you can't win a medal because it becomes so competitive and scientific too. That we need.
But sometimes we tend to forget. We think that that doesn't happen in one training cycle, in one period. It takes sometimes 2-3 years to get them to go up to that. So then we have to put some more interest in that development aspect of it. Before Josh Botang and them and you and Jeremiah won a medal at CARIFTA, we were training. We had a whole year program going on over 2 years before they could reach to that level. Right. So it's not something. So and that is the level where all the work has to be done, and that is the level where you don't get no praise for. Nobody see you, but you have to be the 5-6 times for the week. So we have to find a way, maybe through our ministry, to support the artists there, but then you have to prepare to work together as an association and as the ministry to the government to make that support, But when you see that sometimes you don't get that as you want, But I believe things will work out, things will work out. The CARIFTA will be a good lesson for us in the sense of development and team support and coaching support. Someone will ask me how much medals I think we will win. I tell them you have CARIFTA for many different reasons. You could have CARIFTA to promote your athlete, to develop sports in the country, to promote, or you could have it for the 50th anniversary. You could have CARIFTA for many different reasons. So it depends on the stage. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't give any answer. And would you find it was strange? I say I'm not actively coaching, so I'm not athlete to say I think we're gonna win. So and I've been wrong looking at everybody's sport. But I know athletes are working, Mr. Albert and with Max Wynn and the others. Yeah. They are working very hard, and they've been working hard for years to make sure that the athletes are ready. There are other factors. When you take a CARIFTA, you have to think about it maybe in a year before, because you know that you'll definitely be able to use your track. So you have to think about alternative track meet or competition within that period the athletes could attend. So you have to think outside the box. But so because when I speak to coaches, some of them they are very dissatisfied with how we had planned for it in a sense, but but they're looking forward to the artist preparation, which is limited.
Listening to Kerlon, I probably want to agree with our friend Chelly Joseph when he said, Kerlon, I see your future as an MP.
No, my mouth is too. When you control my mouth, when I want, when I see how I feel.
There's another joke for you, but I think it's both yourself and Rudian. They said, Mr. Peters, getting paid. Are you getting paid for that Puma display, or you just have to put on the t-shirt? Well, you have Puma, and Rudian has Nike. Rudian has Nike.
Puma is our sponsor for. I still an athlete coach. I've been here because of my athlete, but I'm not being paid to put it. I just pull out.
Well, basically says that Puma ad could actually pay for a track,
It shows my support to the track and field, and it shows my support to the athletes and the coaches as we prepare for CARIFTA Games.
Right. So we have Kerlon Puma, and we have Rudian with his Nike. So they can pay.
I'm still working with Nike. Nike still send me little things after 20-something years. of competing, they still send me, and they sponsor a lot of my meets too. So a lot of the stuff we kind of get, so it's pretty good. I have a quick question concerning CARIFTA Games. I'm not CARIFTA, but Intercol. In terms of the warm up area now for the athletes, so even checking in area, even including where the athletes is going to be, would they have access to the cricket stadium?
Yeah, I think
Is that what it is?
very
Okay.
early the recommendation and the request were made to the stadium authority and the Chinese that are preparing to start the refurbishment of the cricket stadium. If you pass there now, you see that they are properly fencing all around to make sure. But we had made that preparation and allocation for the athletes training. We have done that before. So if you look at the squash room, and they will have access there, and I think that they will try to, and they will use the squash room as the call room there, and they come out on the field from there. So it's
use
the grass track there and make sure that everything is secure for the couple of days for the meets that are coming up so far.
Okay.
Yeah, in winding up, Kerlon, just briefly, any other thing regarding, because we spoke about the ministry's continuous support, right, for other sporting activities taking place. We know the volleyballers, and from time to time, they always come to the ministry for assistance.
Well, I think I must say within my time in the ministry, this is the first year we had made budgetary allocation for federation and federation support for athlete support in that. That's the first time we have actually done that in the years of them making that thing. I think when the minister met with the associations on Friday, they will discuss that. We have also prepared with the associations a schedule of events. We also so we have that. They are also sending a budgetary allocation which guide us on that allocation to budgetary support. So we're looking to work, as I mentioned, we cannot work for ourselves in the ministry because with the association we are trying to do the same thing, and we don't have the human resource factor personally to accomplish all that. So we must get closer with the associations. There are some that are doing very well with the outreach and the developmental program. There are some that they didn't have any competition, every developmental program maybe for a year, 2 years, haven't got back there. Even if you look at the time in our ministry competitions, you see this year, which I'm not proud of, but we are fall short. We were not able to do the basketball competition due to the extension of the football competition and the time and the weather. We haven't done the volleyball competition. So we definitely we sit and revisit our schedule in the ministry, and we definitely have to do some of the competitions on a Saturday and Sunday that we have seen that we seen footballers do that. So we have to pay some more interest to giving support to, I would say, some of the smaller associations, and maybe see how we could collaborate with them to make sure even if the ministry cannot do your basketball, but you should be able to do a basketball competition. You should be able to run. So we have to see how we could take it up and partnership with it so that we can get more games played. Besides that being your own competition for the year.
Yeah, because and I'm glad you mentioned that same thing regarding the under 15 football, because we have more participation on the kids on a weekend. So like other sporting disciplines need to look at as well.
But sometimes we're not able to do it in the ministry, but if you join with the association, the same competition happen. For all the sports. So it's definitely we have to make sure that we get a better partnership and maybe give some more support to the associations and see how they could get the structure and the house in place so that we could cater for all the competitions. Because it's not nice. I love track and field and football and things, but if you had the opportunity, you might love basketball, volleyball, a lot of sports. Yeah. So we have to give everybody, so that's my objective, basically, to give, everybody that opportunity. Sometimes I say better go in an export and start going to do outreach program and see how, but we can do everything once.
Finally, Mr. Gotti Robinson is saying, my recollection in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Coaching Association was functional, and the Athletic Association had a 2001-2004 development plan. Check the period 10 years after. And he says basically same for football and cricket. So they basically had these strategic plans, right? Those development plans over the years. But somehow, something fell by the wayside, and hopefully we can see a resurgence of sports through the National Sports Council and the Sports Policy, etc., etc. Once again, thank you very much, Colin. Thank you to Rudian. Again, kudos to the Daniel outfit in meeting the track rehabilitation project and meeting the time frame or timeline for our athletic meets. Yeah, they has been very. They have a very good track record, I can say. They have been doing the tracks around the world, not just the Caribbean, around the world. And I think it was a good pick, a good choice rather, in getting them to come and do the one in Grenada. Final words from you, Colin?
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity. I always love talking sports, and I believe that sports plays one of the biggest role in nation growth, building. A healthy nation is a wealthy nation, and I think sports bring us together to help fight some of the delinquent behavior that we are seeing, even some of the problems, coping with some of the stress, and so we have to put some interest there, and we have to come together. If you want to develop it, we have to come together as one. We have to break that barrier of you from Grenville, or you from Tongue, or you from where. We have to build it at each parish, and we have to extend our hands to welcome persons, maybe outsider persons that come in to give that support and to help build a new version of what we know or what we have loved before, but give us good ideas, supported ideas, and new ideas in which we could go on. I just want to give a little joke here. I can remember when Mr. Claude and his team with the Independence Committee come up with what we doing this year for sport. The usual thing with us, we do some cricket and football. When they come up with the swimming and the cycling and the road race, I say, man, what craziness is that? But when the end, it came with one of the biggest activities. It bring associations, that cycling association together, the swimming and the sailing, and it was one of our biggest innovative. So it's sometimes new persons, new ideas, or outside person's idea, but we have to have an open mind to accept. Yeah. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Definitely, Mr. Claude, I do have a question to ask you off air. If it's okay, Michael can send me your information.
Yeah, man.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Colin, and it's always a pleasure having you. All right,
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, then, right. Certainly, always a pleasure with Mr. Colin Peters, our coordinator of sports. Rudian, there are just two issues just before we go off. I saw Mr. Neville Glean being recognized and acknowledged.
Yes.
Renamed after him.
Renamed after him. That was that was well done, well deserved. Well deserved. And many coached me. When I was there at Malvern College, even after I came back and I was home for a little bit, he was coaching me as well. He's truly, and he still is coaching. He truly has been a blessing to many athletes. Not much track and field athletes that went through from the parish of St. Patrick that didn't go through him. So certainly that was well deserved. Well deserved.
Certainly a beacon for track and field in the parish, and I think it's well deserved of him to be recognized in that way. So it's now Greenhouse.
Greenhouse. No, and definitely, and like I said, we have in the parish we have 3 Olympians. All of us went to the same school, and we all went to Mr. Glean as a coach. So that was really good.
In addition to that, I think we can probably look at naming probably the stand at the full recreation ground. After Mr. Green. He is alive, right? He has done.
Yes, but I also have another name as well. They definitely should have something long lasting. Yeah.
And it must not be okay. So some people will say about the field, the stadium. You can stand, for example, and it could
instance. An example where I train outdoors out here and the school that I work with outdoors here, the track was named after someone who's still alive, who's still coaching, and this gentleman is in a walker and he's still going to the track, still at the track, and he had several at least 10 Olympians that he coached came from under him that compete for Canada, that has one still competing right now, Aaron Brown. come from our program under Bill Stevens. And the track was named after him, but not the stadium. So it's
That's what I'm saying.
It's Bill Stevens track. So it's Bill Stevens track. Yeah.
Right. You can look at other things that
Other things, yeah.
The other thing has to do with that's well, I don't want to say it's sad to make it look as if it's but the issue with our athlete from St. Vincent and the Grenadines in that interview at Sportsmark, and it's good to see that the government has stepped in, right? The government has now stepped in and providing the assistance. The only thing that is concerned regarding whether or not she'll be able
to travel.
Travel, right?
Yeah.
But it was a bit shocking.
She could travel.
Well,
it's just she's losing access to her coach. That's what's happening. She's losing access to a coach in person.
Well, that's one. But if she has no permission for re-entry because she has a document,
and that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes, she will have that process. Yeah. So, but she can travel.
Yeah. She can travel. Yeah.
She certainly is concerned about leaving and would not
coming back in, returning. Yeah.
With a coach, etc.
Yeah.
And I think that is the border. So that is where probably at the level of probably the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, State Department,
Foreign Affairs have to come in. And that's one of the things we talk about. Like I said, the saddest part of in St. Vincent is that there is not much. It's Grenada, we have a few Olympians, we have a few cricket, soccer players. Like we have a lot of those. St. Vincent don't have that amount of athletes, on that level. And for those who don't know, we're talking about the young lady who is number 2 ranked in the world right now in the 800 meters, who cannot go to the World Championships indoors due to traveling restrictions. And if it's still on, maybe the Olympics for her could also be in jeopardy, as she clearly mentioned in her interview. And so we're trying to figure out the support that is needed. And she basically was living like homeless. She was basically living homeless. So that's really what it is. But it's good to see you have to speak up for something to happen. But for sports, because we love the sport, it's sad to listen to that and to see athletes of that level, of that caliber, go through that process. But sometimes, Michael, you have to go through some things to come out, because our story tomorrow will be greater than the one yesterday. So yes, she might go through something now, but then she could come back and write a book on it and say, this is where I come from. And this is what happened, putting me on the podium. So I had to go through that, to be where I'm at. So she's still keeping her composure. She's still smiling. And that was the one part of it that I'm watching. I'm saying, man, she still have the composure. She's not disrespecting St. Vincent. She's just speaking it out. She's not saying nothing that is not true.
It's interesting, and we're speaking about Shafiqua Maloney, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting that she was in that interview so composed, right?
Yeah.
And it's just by way the moderator asked her that particular question regarding her preparation because she actually qualified. And then she just happened to mention, here are my challenges, right? It's not that she came out to speak about it. Because almost towards the end of the interview, that it started coming out when they was basically questioned. And you realize that the interviewer was himself shocked, right?
He was shocked. He was taken back. He was really shocked.
He was really taken aback by the answer because he wasn't really. It's not something that
both of them was taken back.
Not something they knew about, and she was just basically saying it as it is.
Yeah.
And they asked her certain questions, and it was.
And the whole part to them wasn't necessarily sports. It was, where is the government? It was really on that. Yeah, it was really not necessarily the athletics or the Olympics. They're trying to say, why the government haven't stepped in to give you that support in a sense.
Not some of the government, the authorities.
Yeah, the authorities. Yeah.
Refer to the authorities because
the authorities. The proper wording.
Yeah, the government must act based on the circumstances that probably. In a situation like that, remember, the association is the one who has to monitor, not the government, right?
The
The government
association.
doesn't. The government is not in control or monitoring the athletes and things. The respective associations need to know where the athletes are, what they're doing, how they're performing, who have been qualified, who not qualified, who
Yeah,
are the vote.
yeah,
That is
yeah,
the
yeah,
association. Now the association can act as an agent,
yeah.
right, for her regarding assistance from government, etc.,
Etc.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And,
Yes,
and and
that
and
is
Michael,
what.
I am not want to say anything bad concerning the association, and because they have reached out to me about my athlete. Personally, they reached out to me and asked preparation, how should doing. That was personally. I didn't have to get to them. They reached out to me. So I am not saying anything negative to them, that I don't know the conversation or the relationship between them two, but I can only speak on the relationship that I have with them concerning my athlete. They do check up, they do ask, and and so definitely I have nothing negative to say concerning that, but just listening to her, it does make you set you back a little bit and say, whoa, that is hard, that is tough.
Right. Finally, uh, the there seems to be a little issue regarding the athletes, foreign athletes in Jamaica. And about 2 days ago, there was this story regarding Jamaica College looking for the Minister of Sports to intervene over an impasse regarding the eligibility of two international student athletes,
Athletes,
really, to represent the school in this
yeah.
year's, Boys and Girls Champ.
Boys and boys champs,
Because
yeah.
the two athletes in particular, they're actually from Ghana, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's a concern from ISA that there has been what they
Hmm.
call term it has been an influx, you know, of foreign athletes into the Jamaican high schools, and I assume they
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to protect their, their brand and etc. etc. And in the Grenada context, we do have a few of those athletes, especially from Caracou, who have been able to go into the system in Jamaica, perform
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
and
Perform
some
well,
in,
and
and
yeah,
even move on. Some of them are in the colleges now, and they're doing pretty well.
pretty well,
So
yes.
certainly there are some schools who are basically behind the scenes battling that, right? Because certainly Jamaica College, one of the top schools, and I know Kingston College is another. So some of the schools are battling for these, and some athletes prefer to go to certain schools. Some schools have the resources to recruit, right?
Yes, yes.
Athletes, because if you recruit them from overseas, it means that you have to pay for their boarding and all the other the tuition and everything as it is, and Jamaica College, who have won the boys title over 20 times, and they only placed second last year to Kingston College. Obviously, they will be looking to up their stakes, and
Yeah.
certainly recruiting two athletes from Ghana. It means that most likely in the longer distances, the 800, the 15, the steeplechase, these sort of things. And I'm wondering if there is some sort of intervention and some sort of, you know, decision on that, how it will impact the athletes from the Eastern Caribbean, because Grenada, um, St. Vincent, Dominica, they are athletes, and Guyana, there are a number of athletes from these islands, right?
Yes, yes, from these islands,
Countries,
yeah, yeah,
and Guyana as
yeah,
a country,
yeah.
that are in the system, and how that will impact going
Impact.
forward, because it has really helped some of our athletes, and it's something
Yeah.
probably we'll have to discuss
Discuss, yeah.
in a
In the
future
future.
program.
And it's sometimes hoping that moving forward, it's we know that these athletes are going, these student athletes is more athletes, basically concerning more than just dealing with school. Most places have great schools. It doesn't matter where so it's more of them want to be better as athletes. So they're coming in. They cannot represent the country. They're not citizens of the country. So they cannot represent the country. So they are representing the school. And I believe, does that go for in every sport? Does that go for the same thing in football? Does it go for the same thing in netball? Is it only track and field? So if foreigners coming for something particularly, does it affect every one of them? And that's something that should have been upfront. Like once you're in the school and you are part of the school, you should be taking part in whatever the school is involved in.
Yeah, and we heard from Kerlon earlier too that there are some primary school
Yeah,
footballers who have been basically recruited.
been just recruited.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah. So is that's what it is? Because like I mean,
yeah,
Jamaica is getting to that level in the Caribbean, to that sort of level, like United States. Like
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot of
Where
kids from here that go to prep school in especially for basketball and football. More than track and field, they usually go to university and college and so forth. But in basket, like prep schools for soccer, prep schools for basketball for sure, starting from the elementary school
well,
level, even high school level, right? For
well,
sure.
at some stage, finally, at some stage, we may probably Grenada. It may not be a bad idea for Grenada to look at developing its cadre of coaches and
Hmm.
facilities,
Yeah,
etc. So probably they can be the
yeah.
hunting ground in the Eastern Caribbean now. So
No, they
they
are,
can
and
convince
in
you and
in
St.
in
Lucia probably
certain
to come to
fields,
Grenada.
but the trick is, Michael, it's we have to, like I said, we talk about facility, right? And that's the key thing. And how many track that Jamaica has?
Track,
How
you
many of
mean?
them? Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Is it
they
just the
have the
one, or they
no, they
have the
have
fields like us?
no, they do have one in they have one in Montego Bay as well,
Montego
right?
Bay, yeah,
Have the Kingston, the main one, which they still
yeah,
have to work on though.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then they have some other fields, like just the track itself.
There's the track itself,
They,
just yeah.
yeah, they have the track, and like what
You
we
can,
had in
we got to look at,
about,
yeah,
you
but
know,
that's what I'm saying. So we have
yeah,
the benefit got to be there, because you have somebody, from example, somebody leave from, for example, leave Ghana, come to McDonald College. McDonald College don't have the facility. We have the full recreation ground. We don't have that
but
facility per se, in a sense. I'm just using that for example, right?
the
So
important thing for Jamaica in particular, and why a lot of the athletes gravitate
yeah,
towards not just the facilities,
coaching,
but and not just the coaching, but the competition as well, right?
competition, yeah.
Almost every weekend there's a competition in Jamaica, right?
There's a competition, yeah.
Yeah, whether it's down to December, they take a break for Christmas, then probably the first or second week in January they
Yeah.
start competing.
And I know,
So
and
there's,
I wanted to
there's
ask that question
competition
with,
in
with
Jamaica.
Mr. Phillips. I wanted to ask Mr. Phillips, because um, one of the issues too is competing on the weekend, on the
Mhm.
Saturday. A lot of competition is on the Saturday.
Yeah, in fact,
So it's also, yeah,
The Gibson really
yeah, a lot of
enforces.
competitions at the Saturday. So when you look at the schools, and I think that's really what have to change, is more competitions. Could just have a school relay meet, or a school meet, like just whoever want to host it, and schools coming in. And that's that one of the things that's really lacking. And me and Hazeland had a conversation about the exact same, is competition.
Mhm.
In high school up here, I mean, we have to have two indoor high school meet before we start outdoors. I mean, they're just high school, and some of these kids don't have nowhere to train. So
Yeah,
they just having two high school meet, and then outdoors they have about 6 to 7 meets before the actual championship.
yeah,
And then in the championship, we break down to three categories, right? So they have to qualify, three qualifiers to get to the high school championship. And again, it's out of town, where
mhm,
they have to get out of town, and it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So
right.
yes, I mean, I think Saturday, it's easy for parents to come involved. Parents is working in Grenada Monday to Friday, then they have the Saturday to come in. So there's a lot of things you got to look at, support the athletes and supporting them. That Saturday is something that can be worked, but something have to change for us to get that level of what Jamaica have, or what other IM countries has, and some
Right.
change have to come in. They talk about coaches, facility. A lot of these little things have to, and the competition have to be there. If the competition is not there, it can't be in one area. You got to be rounded. You
Okay.
got to be rounded. Yeah.
Let's say good afternoon to our friend Roger Duncan.
Roger
And
Duncan.
Roger is saying Roger Duncan stars in Ricardo King Douglas production Journey to Goal next week, March 2nd and 3rd at the Grenada Trade Center, 8 p.m. and 7 p.m. respectively. The play is about 50 years of Grenada's politics, from Gary to Deacon. That's to Sir Eric Gary to Deacon
To
Mitchell.
Vicky Mitchell.
Michael, send me the bill. It's always a pleasure, Roger. We will, we will. But I want to wish you good luck, and certainly, folks need
I
to
don't
watch
know
that
which
because
well
Yeah.
Mr. Duncan, it would be nice to know, are you playing Gary or are you playing Bishop? Which one are you?
Yeah. He's starring. He's starring. So it'll be
which
good to
one,
know which one he's
which
starring.
one are you playing? Or are you the Mitchell? Which one
Yeah.
are you, eh? But that's really good. That
Already
is
know
certainly
Bishop.
good.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah. So
put it
folks,
out. Send me
if
some
you
information so I can put it out on my Facebook
if you
platform for my friends in Grenada who are there, yeah. Who are
okay,
looking
but
for
he said
something to do.
he's playing the fool. I understand.
You playing the fool.
Okay.
Okay, I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, folks, if you do, that's next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, at the Grenada Trade Center. That is something I think you can, in all that's going through there, I think it's something that you can look forward to. Our final one is from sports. That I think it's from Clem Deputy. Sports insulation regionally can be impacted if we move blindly in that direction. Guidelines, yes, guidelines because of pride. Well, giddiness rather, because of pride, we should tread carefully.
Carefully.
Thank you very much, folks. Thank you. It's always a pleasure. Hopefully, I'm not sure. I may be back in New York next weekend. I'm not certain, but it's a pleasure having you, and look forward to being on our program once again. Rudian?
So it was a pleasure. Thank you again for taking your time out this afternoon and coming and hang out with us. Certainly we're looking forward to be with you. We will open up the questions soon. You have your concerns, questions, and an answer in a short while where you guys can ask what's on your mind. What's on
Mhm.
your mind concerning sports in Grenada. Definitely.
Yeah.
Michael, please, you want to get a chance, please send me the information. I do have a
No,
really important
yeah.
question to ask that I didn't want
Yeah.
to ask online. That's fine. Yeah.
Certainly. No problem. Okay
All
then.
right.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much. So you have a blessed day, and to
All
everyone
right.
else.
Okay then.
God bless you.
Right.
All right.
So thank you very much, folks. Once again, it's always a pleasure having you, and looking forward to you being with us come next week, God's willing. Um, it's one of my, well, one of, I should say, favorite city, Phoenix in Arizona, and I I'm not sure if I'll be here for quite a while, but it's looking at 6 weeks, but it can be 2 weeks, it can be three. You know how these things are. But initially 6 weeks, and it's just the first of six, right? But certain things change at times, and you can be recalled and things like that. So, like an ambassador, you can be recalled for certain things, right? Yeah, but certainly we look forward to having you. Hopefully next week, if not the following week. But it's a pleasure, and mind you, we are on the countdown towards Intercol. As a major one, we have the primary schools as well, but we have Intercol and we do have the CARIFTA Games, climaxing with the CARIFTA Games as well. So we'll continue to see how we can highlight certain things regarding Intercol. By the way, I think on the weekend of the 9th, the 6th or the 9th, I think we should have the Intercol committee, the 9th rather, the 9th of March is scheduled for the Intercol committee. I'll give you more information about that so you can get all the information regarding the preparations for Intercol 2024. So, folks, until then, I want to continue encouraging you to do have a pleasant weekend, as you would have seen in our postings. We lost a very good friend, that of Hubert Lawrence. Hubie, as he's called, is well known in the media circles, basically, right? Hubert, in fact, he was looking forward to get to traveling to Grenada, you know, for the CARIFTA Games as a member of the commentary team, and just a few weeks ago, we spoke and, giving him some information because that's what he does, a lot of preparation. We call him the AI of track and field. Very knowledgeable guy, okay? And that is Hubert Lawrence. He passed away last evening, at the age of 62. But Hubert has been, has been, an encyclopedia for. I wouldn't just say track and field for sports. You can call Hubert and ask him probably when Jamaica won or when Grenada won or some Caribbean or some athlete. won this event, what was the time in 1984 or something, and Hubert will be able to give you that off his head. He is that sort of person. He is an encyclopedia for sports, and we call him the AI of track and field. And we so much was looking forward to him being in Grenada, being part of that commentary team in Grenada for the CARIFTA Games. In fact, he should have been on the commentary team for the Gibson Relays taking place in Jamaica today. But unfortunately, he passed away last week. May his soul rest in peace as we pay tribute to our friend and colleague, Hubert Hubie Lawrence. Thank you very much, folks, once again for being part of our program, and look forward to you joining us again, hopefully next weekend. Until then, have yourself a pleasant.